feel a lot better as Georgia fans and this team right now than we did a year ago about the team that was going to the Georgia Tech game.
Oh yeah, I don't even think it's a debate. I mean, this Georgia team has just looked so much more complete, so much more just I mean, and they look better in almost every single way. Like they can run the ball this time around. They can actually protect their quarterback. The only thing that is probably worse from last year is the pass rush has dropped off quite a bit, as we always say. But absolutely, Georgia's been blowing the doors off people this whole month. So, what better way to cap off a crazy month for the program than by playing your big in-state rival and hopefully getting past them as well. So
absolutely, sir. So let's put the numbers on the screen here. So these are the stats against Power 4 competition this year. Georgia Tech 7-2, 6-2 in the conference. They're one out of conference to this point is Colorado. And then Georgia didn't play in. This is Georgia's first Power 4 game outside of the SEC this year. So they went 7-1. You look at the numbers, a lot of similarities, like 31 points a game in these Power 4 games. Georgia 32.9. Like Tech's got the advantage on the ground and through the air. Slight advantage in third down conversion percentage offensively. But then defensively, it feels like it's not really close. Like 27 points, 27.6 points versus 21.9 isn't a huge difference. But 100 yards a game versus 171 on the ground, like that's a big difference. And then I don't have these stats on there, but you look at like the pass defense, like the 256 versus 233, like pass yards are just not really like a great sign. But Tech has given up 13 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions on the season. So Georgia slightly better, 11 touchdowns to 4 picks. But you see both teams negative in the turnover differential in these Power 4 matchups. Tech's -4 and Georgia -1. Only turned teams over 7 times in these games. And then Kirby head-to-head versus Tech, 7-1, 7 straight, and 3-0 versus Brent Key. So we were talking about Mark Richt. So I guess Richt did do 7 straight, but he never did 8 straight. So this would be Kirby getting 8 straight.
Yeah, Richt from 01 to 07 got him 7 in a row. So man,
so
right.
Kirby's got a best that.
That's one of the more impressive things about Mark Richt's career too, is that streak that he had over Tech. Yeah. Let me see. I guess do we want to start, talking about the game or whatever, breaking it down?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's break it down.
I mean, I pretty much watched the entire Tech versus Pitt game last weekend, and it was pretty appalling to see how much Pitt was just kicking their butts on the ground. I mean, the amount of times that they would just get the edge and just turn it up immediately was pretty wild. I feel like, I don't know what it was. I guess their tackles were just manhandling Tech's edge guys because they were getting to the outside so much. And I mean, their running back went over 200 yards, averaged 10 yards a carry. Their true freshman quarterback was super efficient through the air. And I think you saw that, Tech put up a pretty valiant fight in that game to come back. Obviously, they had the pick 6, and the game just ultimately got away with them. Pitt breaks off that huge run at the end to ice it. But I think that game just kind of screams how Tech is not built to play from behind at all.
Mm-hmm.
What they want to do is they want to go really heavy sets, and they want to run the ball with Haynes King and Jamal Haynes and just, control the pace, control the flow, own the third downs and never have to face any third and longs or anything. But when they're down by 3 scores, 2 scores even, and Haynes King has to, live in the drop back game, that's just not the way that they want to play ball. And I think that you really saw that on Saturday. Like, Tech does a lot of really good things well. I mean, they run the ball just about as well as anybody in the country, but when you can knock them off their script early and kind of force them to, I guess, play with one hand behind their back or whatever you want to say, like, it just doesn't look like the same team at all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think this is a game where the fast start, while it might not be like essential to win the game, a fast start could be essential in just kind of burying Tech early. Yeah. And because they were coming back in that one. I thought they were going to come all the way back, but that pick 6 really did just totally take the steam away from them. But and I will say Tech's offense is legit. Their defense should get destroyed by Georgia, if we're being honest. Like with what this Georgia offense has been, kind of the second half of the season, like, and what this Tech's defense has been all season. Like, I'm sure Tech will make some plays offensively. I just cannot see like a game like Ole Miss or something. Like I can't see Georgia Tech scoring every single time they have the ball, like Ole Miss did, you know. But I could see Georgia scoring every single time they get the ball, like they did against Ole Miss. So
Yeah.
I could see, yeah. I just also like these stats are even, but the caliber of Power Four competition these two schools have faced is drastically different. Like, I mean, who's even the best team Georgia Tech has played this year? Is it Pitt?
It's like, yeah, they're like
Clemson, like
Duke.
Yeah, like
they
played
they beat Boston College by 2, and Boston College is terrible. With their defense, that's so much more of a problem than last year, I suppose, is they just get gashed on the ground, man. I mean, when NC State dropped like almost 50 on them, and they went for like 270 on the ground. I guess it's just Tech just doesn't play with the same level of edge or same physicality as maybe some SEC teams do, because it's been really easy to run the ball on them this year. And I think it's kind of tough when your own offense is so focused on, putting heavy sets on the field and running the ball and chewing up clock and sustaining these big drives. Well, when your defense is allowing the other team to do that as well, it's a lot harder for you to kind of play your own brand of football, Like, it's harder for you to get into your game. And if the other
where there's just less margin for error.
Yeah, exactly. And like when the other team's running it down your throat, it's just harder to do your own stuff. And King is a pretty good passer. I think a lot of people act like King is just this like fullback who's playing quarterback. Like he's just like he's Sam Ellinger but worse or whatever. But King is a pretty good passer, but it's when they get him on the run off of these play action fakes and these bootlegs where he's on the move and everything like that. Like, they don't really want him to be a drop back passer. That's not his game. That's not his strength. And the reason that they've been able to have this like super efficient passing offense is that they can live in these heavy sets where they can really marry the pass game with their run game. And, up against these stack boxes or whatever, or one high safety looks, they can, pull the ball from the running back's belly and hit a big play down the field. It's like, well, you can't do that if, no one is respecting the run in the first place. If you're down by 20, no one's going to actually believe that you're running the ball. And I think that's kind of a problem that they ran into in the Pitt game. So whoever controls the lines of scrimmage is definitely going to win this game, like with most football games. And I kind of think Georgia has the edge there just because Georgia's really been able to run the ball this year, and they've really been able to stop the run too. Tech can run the ball, but they can't stop the run. So therein lies the difference.
Yeah, which is a pretty huge difference there. Because like you said, I think this team, that's just not what they're built to do. If you want to go on, if you're down 20, you want to go on an 8-minute, 9-minute, drive and punch it in, like, sure, go ahead and do that. You still need to score a few more times, but yeah, I obviously, the way they gashed Georgia's defense a year ago, like, you can't ignore. Like, it seemed like they had, they knew what Georgia was running. It almost seemed like, and obviously we know Buster Faulkner has experience on that Georgia staff, but that defense just didn't know. They didn't know where the ball was going, where it was coming from, or anything in that first half a year ago. And they obviously, settled in a little bit and were able to come back. But I can't completely forget about what they did a year ago in Athens, even though this defense is definitely taking strides, and I would say is better than they were a year ago.
Yeah, I also think the loss of Eric Singleton for Tech is a pretty big deal. Obviously, their offense has been pretty good this year without him. They've been just fine for all intents and purposes, but they've got good players at receiver this year, better than they usually have, certainly. Like, I think Eric Rivers is a pretty good player, but I don't think there's anybody that's that caliber of perimeter playmaker that Singleton was last year. And, Singleton kind of torched Georgia last year. So that would be kind of like last year, if Tech is having a rough time running the ball, establishing their run early and all that stuff, they do have a guy that they could turn to and say, get this guy the ball and get out of his way or whatever. But Singleton's not there anymore, and I think that makes things a lot harder for them against this Georgia defense.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I think this and going back to the defense too, like I was just looking at their last couple games, and Boston College is the third worst run offense in the ACC this year, and they ran for 175 on Georgia Tech, and hit this past week threw for 226, ran for 186. There's just no reason that Georgia can't do exactly what Pitt did against Georgia Tech. Like Georgia, Georgia wants to be balanced. I think they have, Heinschel, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah,
the freshman quarterback.
He balled out. He played really good against them.
Yeah, he looked good for sure, but there's no reason that Gunnar Stockton can't go out and do exactly what this guy was doing, and also, running the ball a little bit on Georgia Tech as well. So, yeah, I do wonder about this about how much success Haynes King in this offense can have. Because, I mean, who would you compare him to that Georgia has faced offensively this year? Like
this year,
what's his name? Chambliss is probably the best runner of any of the quarterbacks Georgia's faced. But Aguilar and Simpson were really beating them with their arm. Outside of that, like I can't think of many comps for a Haynes King on Georgia's schedule.
The closest thing that they saw to Haynes King might have been Kamario Taylor from Mississippi State. I mean, I feel like he is more of an explosive guy, whereas Haynes King is that like QB power type of runner who just like lowers his shoulder and just takes a beating the whole game. But I guess that would be the closest that they've seen to Haynes King is Kamario Taylor, who did have a good game. He ran for 3 touchdowns against Georgia or something. So
that is true.
He is there. And Chambliss also, like you said, I mean, Chambliss, I think, was their leading rusher, right? And against Georgia, like they've given up yards to quarterbacks. I don't know. That could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is because I think they shut Lacey down in that.
And they're obviously a team that wants to run the ball. Ole Miss, a kind of dynamic offense that wants to run the ball. And so, like Georgia Tech, that's what they are. So, I mean, maybe I would say that seems like the best case scenario for Georgia Tech is to do what Ole Miss did, and not saying Gunnar Stockton and Georgia's offense is going to do exactly what they did in response to Ole Miss, but I trust Ole Miss's defense, who I don't really trust in the SEC. I trust Ole Miss's defense more than Georgia Tech. Like this is honestly a pretty similar comp. Now that I'm kind of thinking about this out loud, like Ole Miss I think was giving up like 180 on the ground going to that Georgia game. Like they were getting torched. So I think it's kind of similar. And, I think even best case scenario, Georgia, or I say worst case scenario for Georgia, gives up 35 points in this game. I think with how this team is built, they could score. I still don't think there's any number that Georgia can't hit offensively, even if Tech is having a lot of success. Like as long as they're taking care of the ball, which obviously Gunnar threw a pick last week, but in the games versus Power 4 competition, Gunnar hadn't turned it over many times. So I had the stats in front of me. The only picks were, did he throw one versus Texas?
Stockton?
Yeah, that's right. Threw one versus Texas, one versus Florida, and one versus Kentucky. Yeah. So I'm forgetting the Florida one. Charlotte. In the Power 4 games. Because he's 14-3 in the games versus Power 4 competition. Yeah, we're gonna get out the negatives in those cupcake games. But yeah, so I trust Gunnar Stockton to take care of the ball, and I just feel like this is a game I feel better about right now than I did in week 1. And I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia kind of blows out Georgia Tech, if I'm being honest. Like I don't think there's a scenario where Georgia doesn't score 42 points unless it's like a scenario of they don't get that many possessions, and it's just both teams are going on 7-8 minute drives every time they get the ball or something. I think Georgia's going to have a lot of success.